almost as iconic as
Steve Dance.
Mortal Kombat, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
I get you.
but okay. What is going on, everybody? This is another segment of the Digital Cypha Podcast. I am Ebonics, and I'm here with my co-hosts, the Don CJG and Diozaels. What is going on, guys?
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
So unfortunately, I made a mistake today. We are while in a process of putting things together, I forgot to show today's video, which would have been NBA 2K21. So we are staring at Outriders. So my apologies, everyone. But this week has been a little bit dry, but with some good news on the sidelines. We got some interesting topics to discuss today, and we're just gonna move forward with that. So, Bethesda and Xbox, they finally tied a knot.
Oh,
they both say I do. Say my name. they said I do, and they both making forward with the acquisition. It's kind of interesting because people were saying, oh, you don't know if they're gonna be the it factor, right? If they're gonna be bought. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, and I know the Don CJG has he's seen this in the posts. Microsoft already put things together and called the studio the Vault.
yes.
So Bethesda and ZeniMax combined is called the Vault now, according to Xbox. I mean, what you guys think about this acquisition? I mean, it's finalized.
Yeah. Hey, look, Microsoft made a play. They did the swish. They landed the shot.
The three.
I think, yeah, literally. Look, I think we needed it. Something like this. There's been a lot of talk. Xbox didn't have exclusives. This. I think Bethesda is if you're going after, big AAA studios, ZeniMax and Bethesda is the place to go for.
Yeah.
Securing that deal is a big industry waving move, man.
Well, Dio, do you was gonna say something? I didn't want to cut you off.
I'm overall happy with it. I mean, Bethesda has a huge catalog of great, games. Whether people have problems with them or not, overall, they're great, experiences and different things. Not just role playing games, but even great shooters, right?
Right.
I think overall, it's just gonna be awesome.
And we find it interesting that this is happening. This is still a remarkable positioning for Xbox as a brand. When this is being talked about, Phil Spencer says, "Hey, we're not trying to take anything away from anyone. We're trying to make sure that the Game Pass has the library to sustain itself." What is going on, Lewis? Thank you for jumping in. Jen, as always, thank you for jumping in as well. Lewis is saying, I was hoping for tomorrow, but I might have to work also, trying to wrap up a job. Do you, man? Gotta get that money. I know New York is that place where the hustle is always 24/7. So much respect. Do that. We're trying to maintain that the catalog, keep the catalog going, because I think as of this week, I believe what's the name of that game? The Witcher 3 has left.
Yes.
But then we're getting NBA 2K21 and Madden 21. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of those games.
I mean, it's like one banger to the next.
Star Wars Squadrons as well, right?
It's Star Wars Squadrons, yeah. I mean, I'm trying not to go there right now. I'm just saying,
you don't want to jump right into the Game Pass hype.
I'm trying not to go there because there's a different segment today. But we're seeing the vision where this is what Netflix does. They buy out studios, or they contract with production companies to create content to make Netflix the best appealing subscription model for movies, right? I mean, we can't say anything about Disney. Disney just, it has Star Wars, it has a whole bunch of people behind them. Marvel, I mean, enough said. And I think that's where Microsoft is trying to be, where they have the Justice Leagues of games in the Game Pass, where if anybody else bought anything, it wouldn't really matter. They'd have to step up to Game Pass at this point because the Justice League is there. All right, I was trying, because I was, you know how it goes when you start talking about something and then it leads into man and this and that and whatever.
Yeah.
I was trying not to go there.
You start going down the rabbit hole as well, no?
The infinite hole, man. Shoes. Yo, but how has Game Pass, well, forget it. There's a few games that's coming out with Bethesda. Of course, you spoke about Elden Ring. What's the next one?
Starfield?
Starfield.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls?
No.
Elder
That's
Scrolls
out.
6, yep.
That's out already.
No, Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out soon.
Oh, Elder Scrolls 6. So you gotta put numbers behind it, Don. Come on.
Yeah.
You gotta be precise.
Doom free, man.
So there's a lot of hype going on. Xbox released in November. Or was it November?
Yeah, November 10th.
It's been about 5 months now. I mean, how do you think the Xbox stacks up 5 months later? It's been some time. It's still being acquired by the community on Spirit's stocks, as far as with PlayStation, and but did anybody's mind change with the Xbox Series X or Series S and acquiring it?
No, I've been pretty happy with it. I've had 0 issues with it. Everything runs great on it, smooth.
What about the controller joint? You had that controller joint, right?
One time I had a desync. I mean, but I wouldn't really get.
Oh, is that a new controller?
Yeah, but even that I wouldn't really be too crazy about. 'Cause I mean, that's kind of something that happens to every console that uses wireless remotes every once in a while. So I can't really hold that really against it. But I mean, I think that was only like maybe twice at most I've had that happen to me with the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, like Series X as a whole, I've not really had any issues either. I'd say the only issue I had is the Series X controller broke. It's got stick drift already, but
Okay.
So you're doing some serious moves with that controller, huh, Dion?
I don't know what happened, man. I noticed it a few days ago. I feel like I was getting stuck on like ledges on the floor. What's happening? And I just realized, oh, my controller just fighting against me.
Yo, he was a free target on Halo.
Literally, I'll be walking forward and like my controller's bringing me backwards. I'm like, okay, this is not right. But as a console itself, I love it. I've not had an issue with it at all. Everything runs pretty great on it. It's just great.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's interesting, because there's been an article from Kotaku talking about this guy. I don't know who he is, but it blew up on social media as far as how he left PlayStation and went to Xbox. Unexpectedly, something went to Xbox, and I found it interesting that now we're seeing that shift. It's been a shift. There has already been a shift since last year. Let's be honest. People started seeing smart delivery. They started seeing the way how games are being played, and you can walk away, come back, and you're still there after 10 different games are being played. You can still come back to your save point. I forgot what it's called. Quick resume, exactly.
Yep.
And then and then when you go to your PlayStation, and that's not entirely there. I mean, I know there is that when you have it on rest mode, I think you can go back to your games, but it's not that quick resume experience that you get with the X. So we're finding people really itching to get that Xbox Series X and S. And it's funny because the S has a lot more clout than the X when it comes to
Yes.
performance.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
interesting. What do you guys think about that? I mean, what did you guys see out there as far as the S is concerned?
I think people really realize the value of it, right? Because you can't get anything else in that price range that performs as well, and you can still play everything else that's coming on the next gen with that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just amazing that you have so many options to play how you want to, and then I mean, you still got the Game Pass on top of that, so you can still enjoy everything that's coming out as it comes out, and all these indies. It's a great deal. If you don't really
Yeah.
care about it having like the top of the line, but you still want to have a good experience, why not pick up S? You know?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Don. You about to say something?
Yeah, building off of what Dio's saying, it's I think the S is a fantastic jumping in point to the Xbox ecosystem. You're not
Yeah.
putting down a ton of money for a brand new console, but you're still getting basically the same experience.
But playing the devil's advocate here, I have a PlayStation. I have PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus comes with PlayStation Collection. I'm not really missing out on the Game Pass, or am I? You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
I mean, wait till Bethesda games hit Game Pass.
I mean, let's be real here. We don't even have to think about Bethesda games right now.
Yeah, no, we don't.
I mean,
No.
but here's my argument. I have PlayStation Plus. I pay $15 a month, or $14.99 or something like that, right? And the PlayStation Collection is a part of that PlayStation Plus experience. Okay, and then there is the PS Now. Now, Dio, maybe you can correct me on this, but I believe the PS Now is a separate subscription.
I think it is also actually,
Okay.
unless they've
Yeah.
changed it.
So if the PS Now is a separate subscription, the PS Now is basically where the exclusives reside, right? That they would allow to be played is on the PS Now.
Yeah.
So the PlayStation Collection is what?
Just backlog, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So Jim Ryan said we believe in generations.
Yep.
Ooh. I'm trying to suck that one in because I'm thinking I don't have a problem with PlayStation. I just want to be able to get a PlayStation to play the games that I want to play, and then think about my backlog as far as Ninja Gaiden Sigma. I want to try. Okay, I will admit, and I think I'm gonna get scrutinized for this. Metal Gear Solid series. Never played them.
Okay.
Never played any of them. The way how you feel about Final Fantasy X is how I felt about Metal Gear Solid.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who hasn't played Metal Gear.
Wait,
No, I like Final Fantasy X. Do you mean like Final Fantasy 7?
sorry,
I thought
seven.
overrated.
My bad.
Okay.
7. Yeah, I mean, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that looks cool. But then everybody's like, oh, it's the best thing ever. And then everybody's like, dying to get a copy and stuff like this. It's like, I'll just pass. But
That's
apparently,
because you were in Splinter Cell also, right?
yeah, I mean, Blacklist and Double Agent and Chaos Theory and like all these other stuff. So yeah, I was into that as well. But I think Metal Gear Solid came out before Splinter Cell.
Oh yeah.
I
Way
mean,
before.
I would assume that Splinter Cell was how can I put it? Inspired by Metal Gear Solid, if you will, in some way,
Sure,
form, or
yeah.
fashion.
Yep.
I mean, other than that, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, and stuff like that I was into. But I mean, anyways, so now we see PlayStation, who are all about moving forward into the next generation, tracking back and doing the collection and doing the PlayStation Now. Why can't they just combine everything into PS Plus? Why can't they put PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus? I mean, it's a PlayStation Collection as one thing into the subscription, because that's what Xbox is doing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it
That
doesn't.
is a good question. Why haven't they?
They are the market leader. Well, I can say they are still the market leader at this point in time in gaming, right? Because nothing has been. I mean, everything is outselling, right? The PlayStation 5 and the X is outselling, you know, in all markets. So there aren't any numbers, right? We do know who is marketing the best. We do know which community is getting the best experience. It's hands down, we can tell who it is. This is no fanboy stuff.
Nintendo.
We just know who is getting the best experience right now. But the thing about it is we're seeing practices. Xbox bought Bethesda, solidified this past week that it's been done. Stadia dropped off the gaming. I wouldn't say they dropped off gaming, but now their only concern about is getting games to their platform, but they're not making the games for their platform. They dropped the studio, so all these jobs left. PlayStation, the only thing to me is a controller.
Okay.
In my opinion, this is me. I'm an Xbox guy. I play on PC. I have the PlayStation 2. I don't see anything big about PlayStation to go hungry for it, right? But what comes appealing to me is the controller. Why haven't they done what Xbox has done and just put everything in one big pot and say, hey, you've invested $15 a month just to play online. We're giving you collection and PlayStation now.
I'm gonna bring an interesting argument to this. I think there's a level of complacency and they got a bit too comfortable.
Yeah.
I agree. But I'm not gonna say why until you're done. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like what is the word? Whenever I start stumbling on this, there's just so many things I want to say. How do I get it in? And I think I've kind of looked at PlayStation over the last couple of years. I don't remember when Game Pass got announced, but it was a little while ago at this point. And I feel like PlayStation have never really answered back to that call.
Well, okay.
They've got their own thing going on, but and Microsoft have been making big moves, man, in everything they've been doing: console services, subscriptions, acquisitions. I feel like PlayStation haven't made any moves. They've just been, here's the PS5, here's a new controller, here's a new game.
All right, I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna save you some time. I'm gonna save you some time because I'm gonna let you marinate and then come up with some more stuff. Dio, what's your thoughts?
Honestly, I just think that they know they can get away with it with their fan base. I don't want to shit on it, but they know that their fans are so loyal to PlayStation blindly to a point where, a lot of these fans don't want to see that, hey, even their exclusives are transitioning to the PC as well. So that whole argument, well, why should I have an Xbox if their exclusives are on PC also? That whole argument is pretty much out the window at this point,
Yep.
And I think they see where their fans are going. So I think, they're pretty much just copying our moves.
Analogy.
Years later.
I've got the perfect analogy.
I'm gonna let you hold on to that because I'm gonna let it marinate. I see how you are, Don. I see how you are. But I agree with Don for one thing, and I've been saying it for a while that, since the PlayStation got released, they've been on a high. They've been in the penthouse. I'm gonna say it that way. They had that penthouse mentality, in my opinion.
Man, you're going for a much nicer route than I was gonna say.
Okay, when you're having fun with your community, buying your stuff. Let's think about it from a business perspective, right? Your product is out there, and you're getting like millions of sales, right? Hand over fist, millions. Okay, what is the next? What would you do? Would you continue to market your product? Why? Why would you market your product even further if it's now the example that everybody else should follow? That's the quote unquote saying, oh, Xbox One should follow what PlayStation is doing. I mean, we can't say that about Nintendo because Nintendo has beaten PlayStation like the whole 7 years, but they're not crying about it. Nobody's saying anything about it, but it is what it is. But like, and I believe that PlayStation has been sitting on that cash for 7 years, doing nothing. That's my opinion.
Yep.
There was a situation that happened in the UK, and the executives fired everyone out of PlayStation. PlayStation. It was a studio, or was it like an actual? I think it was a division in the UK. Something happened, and they fired everyone. Don, Don don't pay attention to that one.
I did not hear about that one.
They did.
When you said UK, I thought you were going for the UK Black Ops story.
No.
Story.
Something happened in the UK, and they fired everyone. But the PlayStation is on cloud 9. Why are we firing people? And there was a marketing team in the UK, to be exact.
Yeah, I think that happened back in 2019, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I would not remember that far back. I'm just being real.
It's just 2 years ago.
I'm just being real with you. I don't know.
I think they mostly did it because of Brexit. That was like their reaction to it, right?
That sounds quite possible.
Because they were afraid of like the whole EU disruption. So I think they fired a bunch of Brits so they can pretty much move their base down to France, I think it was, if I remember correctly.
I'm digging it now, actually. Brexit, you were wow. Look at you.
Do you get it right?
Sony to move Europe headquarters to avoid Brexit disruption.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mind you, before that move, they fired a whole bunch of people. Right. Now, a very, in my opinion, now this is just me. I'm not an executive on that level where I make thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. But why would you fire people when you can just move those bodies? Is there a practice happening with Sony that now they see the shift that needs to happen before Xbox comes off with their new console? I mean, this is 2019. The Series X wasn't even announced. They said they was making it, but they haven't announced the Series X. Right? So, anyways, and then there was a situation where PlayStation is now targeting the Western community, and then Xbox has positioned himself with Korea and Japan. That's kind of what's going on here.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a bit of a switch around.
I mean, but the Xbox's strongest sales is in America, but we are seeing a lot of the Korean culture, South Korea culture, asking Xbox to make a division for Korea. Xbox is not asking. The community in that country is asking for Xbox division. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I respect the games that come out, but I think honestly PlayStation has been sitting on the money, and enough to even think that there was a time when Sony was hurting and depended on PlayStation 4.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yes.
So, and all the while, Phil Spencer is doing what any salesperson would do. For free, he does interviews and talks about what's coming. Man, he sound like a prophet of Xbox. It is coming. The wave is coming. What do we
He
need
sees
to
the wave. He's just sitting on the beach playing, bro.
what do we need to see with PlayStation to be comparable? What needs to happen? My thing is they need to combine all services. For $14.99, they need to combine all services. Xbox have learned from PlayStation, right? That anything that is free should remain free. It should be tied to Xbox Live payment, right? So Hulu and what was it? Hulu and Neverwinter and whatever else is a free to play game or subscription, right? Is going to be tied to itself. It's not going to be tied to Xbox Live. That was this year. Was it 20 years later? But this year, and Xbox learned that through PlayStation. PlayStation never really charged free to play games, or charge the community that they should have a PlayStation Plus subscription to play free to play games. It's just been
Correct.
that way. So, what do you think PlayStation needs to do this generation? Like, they need to shape up now for December, because Halo Infinite, December, they have about 9 more months to shape up. What do you think needs to happen?
Yeah, I think PlayStation got games covered, right, for the most part. It's other than like a leading multiplayer PS, I assume. But I think, like you said, services is the way to go, if you ask me. That's what Xbox have been focusing on for the last few years. And look how far it's took them. Look how far Game Pass has taken them.
For me personally, there's 2 things it needs. And this is a personal thing. I think backwards compatibility is a big thing, especially because PlayStation's been around for a long time, right? So I mean, if you're a loyal PlayStation supporter, you've been there since day one, I know everyone and their mother who had a PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 had hundreds of games, and it's really a bummer not to be able to play a lot of those games. I don't expect people to just play those games and not anything else, but I know there's times when you're like, you know what, it'd be pretty cool to just sit back and chill and play Midnight Club from the PS2 or
oh wow, Midnight Club.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yo, that was the boss right there. It's been a minute.
It's just crazy that you had backwards compatibility easily with the PS2. You had it with the PS3, and then in the mid-cycle of PS3, they got rid of it. And you do have backwards compatibility with PS5 and PS4, but to not have it all the way back to PS1 is just kind of a joke to me. And I think they need more indie support. I think indies, as awesome as AAA games are, I think there's more people who have a lot more fun with indie games than they do with AAA. I think a lot of people usually have 1 or 2 AAA games that they play with hardcore, and they'll get a bunch of little indie games to kind of scratch those itches on different type of gameplay mechanics that they don't get from a AAA.
Yeah, and I think that's where Game Pass comes in as well.
For sure.
Like an equivalent. Look how many smaller games you've never heard are on Game Pass. You just get them. You don't pay anything extra anyway. You just jump on and have a great time, and it's a lot of exposure, man. And I think something like that would increase the indie market for PlayStation a lot.
I mean, let's look at Sega. Sega said that they are very happy with the turnout they receive by jumping on Game Pass with their games, and I'm assuming they're talking about Yakuza series as well. With some other games, of course. I've never played Yakuza at all. I think Yakuza was also a PlayStation exclusive, right? At one point?
Kind of, yeah.
I do not know that.
Pretty much. Yeah, because I remember even Yakuza 0, it was kind of I think if I remember on my PS4 copy, it said exclusive on it. And obviously we know it's not anymore, so it was a timed exclusive.
Okay. Yeah. That's amazing to see something like that. But I agree, the backwards compatible. I think that the PlayStation Now, the PS Now, and how they leverage their cloud system needs to change. I don't think that they should be streaming games. I think they should allow downloadable games into the console.
Yes,
that was a big thing because of buffering and rendering and You know, I mean, you can't say you're playing in 4K on a streaming platform.
No.
PS Now.
Yeah.
You can't say that. Yeah, I don't think you can even do that on xCloud. You 1080p.
No.
5G, yeah, but not 4K.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I live pretty close to a 5G tower. You never know.
But
Go right up to it.
Which is fine because I mean a lot of people don't have 4K, but still, I mean, it should be an option, right? Give us more ways to play as opposed to limiting us.
and that's the
Yes.
thing. That's the thing that people are missing. That Xbox is looking at games and devices, not consoles. They're looking at devices and how they can ship the games out. The consoles are there for the community and fans who are into Xbox on that level. But when you talk about people like those that are in Japan, the Japanese and the Koreans and the Chinese and, you know, the whole Asian community on the east side of the planet, they're on their phones 24/7 doing things. And the bus, you know, you know, everybody's in their phone, you know. Not to mention the what is it called? What do you call them, Dio? There's a place like a computer lab where it's like hundreds of computers and everybody's behind.
Oh, like internet cafe kind
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing as long as the computer has the application. You just log in with your gamer tag and you can play. You know, not to mention that the Xbox is trying to work with Chrome to put xCloud on Chrome, so you don't even have to have software. So there's all this technology that's being leveraged, and I think like PlayStation needs to wake up. They're a gaming
Oh,
company.
100%.
You know, they're a gaming company, and they need to, you know, really look at what's going on, because even then I think xCloud was being announced. Do you remember the backlash that happened with xCloud when it first got announced?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they
Same with Game Pass, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
Who's gonna use this? Same with Game Pass. Like, I remember.
Yeah,
Who's
I
gonna
mean,
use this?
Yeah.
Game Pass. Like, I don't want this.
I mean, well,
People don't like new things at first, you know.
well, they
scared to change.
they don't understand it. They don't
Exactly.
understand. So, but yeah, it's interesting, and I think PlayStation needs to wake up. But Don, you had something that you want to. I think you forgot it, but you remember what it was?
Oh, my analogy towards PlayStation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the PlayStation users. Sorry if you're a PlayStation user, you're gonna hear this. I feel like it's a case of Stockholm syndrome, to be honest.
What?
Yeah, I feel like they're just so used to putting up with what PlayStation are giving them, and they're not realizing there's so much better stuff out there, and they don't want to escape. Well, this is fine.
That's what PC people think about.
I'm in my burning house. This is fine. You know, it's
Let's
step
see.
outside, and there's a whole new world out there, man.
I think
Yeah, I mean,
Uh-huh.
oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say it's pretty much the sunk cost fallacy, right? Like you feel like you invested so much time or energy or something, into something, so you have to commit to it, or else you feel like you've wasted everything in that time period.
Literally, yeah.
That's where a lot of people are, you know.
But that's
Stuck in.
that's how it is, though. I remember. You remember when Blast Unleashed came out on the Xbox,
Yep.
like the betas and stuff.
Yep.
And then so I gravitated over to the PC. I was playing the Final Fantasy. I jumped back into Final Fantasy. I was playing Blade and Soul and some other stuff. And I now see why like Game Pass and xCloud is important, because these developers, they just want people to play their game. They don't care what platform they're on, right? Because when I started playing, like I was missing my saves. I was missing my progressions going to PC, you know, because it was dry. It was dry for both consoles during that time, up until what was going on with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X going into September. It was just dry, heck of a dry time. So Steam blew up, big time, you know, with the COVID situation, and it's at that point where I realized that I spent too much time playing on one device. And that's why I'm asking PlayStation to step up, because the community that is PlayStation needs to step outside that bubble and then experience what PC has been experiencing for a long time. Right now, the community that is Xbox is going to experience that because it's merging. Like Xbox and PC is merging now.
Yeah, it's become its own universal system at that point. I feel like, you're seeing this kind of cross between PC and Xbox becoming the same thing. But PlayStation haven't really made any of those moves, I know they're starting to put exclusives on PC and whatnot. But
we can't say that PC is a platform. It's not a console.
Yeah.
Okay, but who runs the PC space?
Pretty much Steam.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and Steam has been basically, I would say, if they could have been the Game Pass. They could have been the Game Pass.
Oh yeah, easily.
But one of the problems that I always run into is that I think Microsoft led the PC space. Steam is a platform on the PC that you're allowed to play games on,
Yeah.
And people never, I always have that argument, like, look, Microsoft, Windows 10, there's Linux, there's Apple, I get it, but it wasn't as abundant on Windows, like the Windows 10. And that was like Bill Gates' vision, was to put Xbox on PC from the start.
Yep.
So to see that happen now, I think that's what's scaring a lot of people. And I'm not talking about gamers. I'm talking about like actual publishers, like who are seeing Microsoft as a threat. It's like, yo, these guys are going PC, and they're playing on console and PC. We gotta step in, So, but anyways, one of the things I wanted to announce as well, I mean, some of you guys already know this, is that Microsoft and not Square Enix, FromSoft is working on a sci-fi exclusive. We're talking about From Software, people.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Don, do you know who FromSoft is?
I have heard of them. I don't think I've played any of their games.
I think you may have played the games, but unknowingly.
Yeah, it's my thing. I'm familiar with them to an extent, but I'm not a huge follower of them. That makes sense. They're not like a Ubisoft or a 343 or a Activision to me. You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask you that. Let me ask that question though. FromSoft, they're big where they are though, aren't they? Like they're in Japan, aren't they?
Yeah, they're Japanese. Yep.
So, what is this? What is the structure, or when it comes to those developers? Like is Square Enix on top, From Software is in the middle, and whoever's
Bandai Namco owns them.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and I mean that's the reason why Don probably doesn't recognize it as much, because Don plays mostly shooters. This is Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Creators.
Don't say it like that, Don.
I dabbled my toes into Dark Souls for about 3 hours until I.
Well, you were putting him on the spot. I feel kind of bad. I was like, I don't know if he knows.
I wasn't putting him on the spot. I wasn't trying to do it that way.
I was in the hot chair. My turn up the heat. I was kind of worried. I felt really uncomfortable.
Oh no. Okay. Look. I don't want the whole Halo community to be like, okay, who's this Ebonics?
Guys,
let's bomb his chat session for Xbox.
Halo people, I need you.
They come raiding into the YouTube. But yeah, you were saying that they're owned by Bandai?
Yeah, Bandai Namco owns them.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's their publisher.
Wow. So technically, Microsoft can't buy them then?
I mean, unless they work out a deal with Bandai Namco.
That'd be
I don't see
cool.
why not.
They got money in the vault, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, money. There's money, but then there's also quality too. Like,
yeah,
when you lose a studio, you lose quality. See, that's why I think Microsoft bought Bethesda, because they couldn't just take one studio.
Exactly. They have an
You
umbrella
gotta
right
take the
there.
whole.
You take the whole shebang. You know what I'm saying? So like,
It's like seeing a pizza. I'm not taking a slice. I'm taking the whole box.
so like
Yup.
Bandai Namco, like, no, that's another thing too, because okay, Sega successfully made some waves on Game Pass, but you know, Bandai Namco was the first people to jump on, don't you think? With what was that one? The fighting game where it had all these anime characters.
Oh, the Shonen Jump,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they jumped. That was free for a moment on Game Pass. I'm not sure if it's there anymore, but I think like people talk. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, Bandai said Sega, like, look, we made some killing money over here. You know, you need to jump over there. You know, put some Yakuza on the map. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just-
Somebody went to a house party. Like, listen, there's another house party coming. You guys gotta go. It's good.
Sipping on that champagne, be like, yeah, we was on Game Pass.
They see you on the marble floor. Like, man, what happened to you? What you give us money for?
But yeah, I mean, a sci-fi. What was it? It was a sci-fi role-playing game.
Yep.
Let me jump into that a little bit more deeper here, because it hasn't been announced like much more than just them working together.
Yeah.
But it says here, according to reports, Microsoft has secured another exclusive for the Xbox Series X, and this one has the potential to become one of the best Xbox exclusives in years. According to the report, Microsoft is working with FromSoft, the makers of Dark Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne, and more, on an exclusive, more specifically a sci-fi RPG that the former will publish. With the former, are we saying Microsoft is publishing this, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay. It has to be if it's exclusive. So that's all that they have to say about it. But what the thing about it is that they just ranting that, oh, Microsoft and From is working exclusively. Now, the last thing that I remember that was exclusive is Sekiro is not exclusive, right?
No.
No. So would be as Dio, you know, Tenchu Z.
Not even that. So the last exclusive I think that they worked on was Bloodborne with Sony, and
No, I'm talking
That's
Xbox. I'm talking Xbox. The last exclusive was
but I
Xbox.
mean that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
It's like 360 days.
It was. That's what I'm saying.
But yeah.
I want it back. Yeah, but you
Well,
said
hopefully that could happen, because I think this is interesting, because most of these From Software games are like fantasy based mostly, right? So this will be like their first big strong like sci-fi one, and I think that's really interesting since Sony had Demon Souls and then they had Bloodborne. So for them to jump out the gate with Microsoft again with a sci-fi one, hopefully if that goes well, we might see a Tenchu Z remaster or a new Tenchu, that would be amazing.
That would be awesome. No, I wouldn't even say remastered. They just need to make Tenchu Z2 or like just something. I'm saying that game is a gem, and the only reason why you don't see it on Game Pass or as a backwards compatible is that the starting scene in Tenchu Z. I think that's the reason. It's a soundtrack, and you have to rebuy a license and stuff like that. In my opinion, I think that's what it is. Or they just don't want to put it on the Game Pass. I don't know. Who knows? Whatever.
Or maybe they will with this partnership coming up.
We will see.
Yeah.
We will see.
But that leads us to the PC side. There's this game. There's this game. It's called The Day Before.
Yep.
It has a splitting image of the Division 2.
I thought it was the Division 2.
With the inclusion of zombies, and it's an MMO game. What do you guys think, and do you guys have any concerns?
I don't know. It's obviously we haven't really seen enough of it yet. I'd love to if it was a beta or something.
You know,
I'd love to get my hands on it.
I think that's a way out. They
Yeah.
pushed this. I think they pushed this last year, and
Yep.
with hopes of getting some form of eyes. Because usually when people put like a video demo, is either they're letting you know that it's coming soon, or they're looking for funding, or some form of partnership to see who will buy it 1st to make it like a time exclusive, or whatever, for marketing. Or maybe they already have it all in place for all we know. But to me, I find it very interesting. This world looks awesome to me. Because when Ubisoft announced Division 2,
Yep.
and then when they released the Division 2, it was like day and night. You had all this PC stuff, like ambient occlusion and all this, everything was golden. Everything was like, oh, this is gonna be the best game ever. And then next, you came in and then they scale back. I think Ubisoft been doing that a lot of times actually.
Watch Dogs 1
in their games, yeah. So I can see where these developers be like, we're done. We're gonna make our own. and this comes out. The world, dude, it is basically Division 2, and
Oh yeah, honestly, it
oh my
looks
gosh.
like I said earlier, remarkably,
The
like.
The scenario is the same. The world has been contaminated by a virus, and now you must survive. The same thing, But everybody, I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't. But from what I understand, is everybody that's in this game is an actual player, a real player.
Yeah.
So
Even the zombies, or
no,
The humans.
You had to be a Don. You had to be a Don.
hey, look, I'm just asking the questions that people want to know.
This guy. But yeah, the zombies are the additions. There's too many zombies to be real people. The way how they swarm in, it reminds me of World War Z, but not to that grandeur. But there is still like a lot of zombies in there. And I find it interesting. I kind of like that. That is a MMO. That means you have your own. You can create your own faction. Hopefully, it's more than 4 people, and you take over a map while defending yourself against a zombie. I want to know more. I really do.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Like, I like the world of Division. I just think it's a bit boring to play at times. So I think throwing that kind of survival zombie element as well as human players, to me, is a bit more interesting than the bullet sponge enemies in Division.
Yes.
Yes. So this actually, I'm curious, man, because I think this is like Division but more interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because one of my big things with the Division was like, I'm shooting a dude with a hoodie and like a wife beater, but it takes like
with
2
a light
clicks to kill him.
Yeah.
And that's always my problem with the Division. At least with this, I mean, honestly, zombies usually are pretty frail also, but at least there's some plausible deniability with that. And you know what? With that whole thing, it gives them more room to grow, right? 'Cause I mean, like even Resident Evil, like a zombie-based game, had different kind of mutants and monsters, and this game could develop that way too, where they could even introduce aliens. They're not limiting themselves, right? They could be as creative as they want to be now, because
like Division ground themselves in reality. You kind of you've got too much of a leash where you can't really expand it too much.
Yeah, and I really like the survival aspect. I see that like if you could be too cold, you can be thirsty and hungry. I think those are good elements to add.
As long as it doesn't go like full Daisy, where I gotta eat every 2 minutes. You know what I mean?
I'm about to say, because I feel the same way. Imagine, like, the only reason why I would die, to be honest, would be because I did not take care of myself.
Yeah. I know Al hates that kind of stuff. He refuses to play DayZ or Fallout 76 because of those type of mechanics.
Yeah, this is it. I think there's a balance you gotta strike, right?
dude.
I would say another thing that I noticed, I don't know if you guys picked up on it too, was that you know how usually in those games they had that like click to cover, like where they like get hard on the cover.
Yeah,
I noticed that they don't do that in this game. Like you duck behind stuff,
yeah,
which I'm honestly better with that because to tell you the truth, a lot of these games that use that mechanic, their characters tend to feel kind of stiff and awkward when you're trying to run around without sticking to cover.
yeah. You gotta peel
As much
yourself
as I
off.
love Gears,
You
as
mean
much as I
from
love
outside?
Gears, they feel stiff when you're moving around, you know?
Yeah.
So I would hope that because of how this game is being, developed, it won't have that same stiff feeling. 'Cause I kind of even felt with Outriders, even though I kind of felt like I was being more rewarded in Outriders for not taking cover, I feel that it still had that stiffness.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
And
that
that's
Gear
my
games
one.
have.
That's my one thing with Outriders. What I don't like, it just doesn't feel natural moving around.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we did say that Outriders was had more of that PC feel. It doesn't have that
Yeah.
console, fluidity, type of optimized feel.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I'm
definitely.
saying? So,
I've heard people on PC say it's way better.
Okay.
And that takes us to the Outriders. It has been the talk for this past 2 weeks. Some good, some bad. The bad part is that people have been, how can I put it? They not hacking. What is it called? When they exploited certain features in the game, and they were able to get legendaries. And we're talking about legendaries across the board. We're talking about everything that is a weapon and gear, right?
Yeah.
And I'll say this, that the devs don't care if you have all legendary gear. It just makes your game very more interesting when the story comes in come April 1st. Because your character is going to be World 5 tier. So I'll just let that sink in, guys. Like, and I understand, and I want to do it too, but notice that, keep in mind, your character will be level 7, World tier 5, going into 6, right? You're in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
would
about 15
become
world tiers.
crap,
You're like, what, a third way there?
So these are for the hardcore people who enjoy struggling. Okay, I'll put it. I'm not gonna say this is. When I say enjoy struggling, I mean like you like to play hard. You like to play. You're hardcore, right? You want to get the highest gear. You want to get the best this and that. They're all doing this to craft. They're all doing this to get the best gear. So when they go in, when everything becomes available, it's almost as though, and maybe Dio can help me with this, it's almost as though you've been prepped for the onslaught that's coming up, because you might see enemies that are only available in a certain tier.
Yes. And attack patterns also.
Exactly.
Go
ahead.
The main reason I haven't grinded my heart out into the game is because I feel a lot of these people who are doing it now are going to be the same people who cry, there's not enough content later, right? If that goes down that route. I don't want to. I mean, I know it's not the same studio; it's just the same publisher. But I don't want to see the same problem like the Marvel Avengers had, where you had great gameplay, and a lot of other interesting aspects, but no content, and then the game fails because of that. I don't think this game will suffer from that necessarily. I think this shows more promise, but it's always a possibility, right? Because we don't know how the end game looks.
Right.
Yeah.
So far, they've updated the demo, and I find it very interesting that they would do that. Usually people would just update the game and say, "Oh, it's gonna come in the game. It's in the game release. That's what we're gonna be preparing for." So yeah, you're testing. But anyways, but they put it in the demo, and I find that very cool because it lets me know that they're very passionate, not just in the game, but with the community. They want to make sure that the community stays vibrant. Over 1 million downloads.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Okay.
the game is being played on Stadia. Is being played on PlayStation.
But something's being played on Steam.
It's- Yo, you always gotta leave it up to Don, man. You see, this is what happens when you bring somebody from the UK in. They gonna say something off the wall, like yeah, and they're not gonna care about it.
Hey, look, still part of chemistry.
PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox One X. I mean, Series X and Series S. They're going for every console or platform right now to be played on.
Except for Switch.
I guess. I mean, I haven't heard anything about Switch. I have to check.
Nah, yeah. Nah,
Yeah, I can't imagine the game running on Switch.
nah. Not yet, anyway.
Never know.
Maybe with the Switch Pro.
Oh,
maybe with the
boy.
But technically, for those who may not know, if you have the Xbox app, we're not talking about the Game Pass. We're talking about the Xbox app, and you've synced it with your Xbox hardware, you can go anywhere and remote to your Xbox and play on your phone if you have the key sheet.
Yep.
That is. So, it's interesting that these guys are pushing that hard to be multi-platform, cross-play on all these platforms and saves. That is a huge undertaking. Would you say that, Don? Dio?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I
It's
think
definitely smart.
yeah, releasing a new game on everything like this. I know obviously new consoles here, and some might think why still releasing games on old consoles, but a big game like this, I think, hitting everybody as much as you can, getting that audience there.
We can't say it's big yet because this is the first.
Yeah.
Well, it's set to be. I think the expectations there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if they really want to capitalize on that, the fact that it's a shooter looter, right? If you have more options to play, especially mobile ways to play. So like, let's say you share the TV with your, significant other, or like you had to go visit family or something like that, and you can play on your phone and still have that capability. I mean, that's awesome, right? Especially with shooter looter, where you get that need, like, you know what? If I play a few more levels, I can grind out some gear. I can get some more talent points, especially because it has like a legit talent tree. It's a really smart idea for them to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I commend them for doing that. I feel like how you feel about open world,
Yeah.
right? I feel that why is it taking a studio like them to start doing this? How come nobody else is doing it? You know what I'm saying? Like, now here's the other thing. From my understanding, you have to buy a license to actually have the right to put your game on the actual platform. You have to have a license to do that, which costs money, right? So Square Enix did, unless the studio did, Square Enix is putting something on this to be like crossplay and all this other stuff. This is gonna be interesting. Oh, and Dio, you had that situation where you were trying to log in and it crashed and stuff. Partially Xbox because it was down. Because Xbox was down, LinkedIn was down. I mean, it was
services got hit.
Services altogether.
Yeah, that was more of a services thing than the actual Series X.
But what the guys also said was that they were prepared for the numbers. They weren't prepared for the amount of people logging in at the same time.
Yeah, that's kind of typical
what I'm
for a
saying?
lot of these type of live service type games.
It was just too fast. Like you gotta bump up the bandwidth. It's still too small.
Oh yeah.
Open it some more. Still too small. Expand it. Still too small.
I mean, I'd say overall, even with this being a demo, it's launched better than Marvel's Avengers. I hate to shit on it, but it's the same publisher, right? So
Yeah.
you gotta kind of compare them. I mean, overall, Marvel's Avengers has just been kind of. I mean, I actually legitimately liked the combat of it, and I was surprised with a lot of the gear mechanics and the talent trees it had. Definitely not as complex as this, from what I've seen so far. But they don't even have a roadmap still for Avengers. You know, it's just so sad. And I don't know if you guys heard about this. They have like an EXP revamp for Avengers, so they want you to grind more in the game to level up.
Yep, I have this.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
Yeah, they're basically slowing down the progression system.
Yeah, I think the only reason they're doing that is because they know they have a lack of content. So hopefully, newer players who get into the game take longer to level up, and realize it less and less that they have less content. You know. So.
But and if you notice that they're also dropping in more heroes, right? And considering that to be the content, like you're replaying content with different heroes. And
that's just bad.
Yeah,
you know?
that doesn't sound right. Mm-mm.
I mean, it could work if you had a more engaging, if they had engaging like content, like where it was actually fun to do these dailies consecutively. Like, to tell you the truth, like I said, I like to comment on everything, but I've had more fun in Call of Duty just for this week with Outbreak, the zombie mode, than I had in Avengers in the end game.
Dang, bro.
And Call of Duty like Outbreak is not something very complex, but it does a very good job at looping the game. Where Avengers could have easily had done the same thing, but they didn't.
No, let's get it straight. Dio said looping the game. By looping, you're talking about full circle content driven experiences where you know you're going to come back to this location to do something specific. It may not be the same thing, but it's something specific to keep progressing forward in that zombie environment, and it's engaging, right? Because I played on Black Ops 2 and you had to jump on the bus every time to go around to different locations.
Arguably one of the worst. I think that was one of the worst maps they've put out for Zombies ever.
That's the only one I know. Leave me alone.
Yeah, you've not had the best experience with Zombies much.
Yo, he's like my form of reference is just the worst reference I could come up with because
bro, honestly, that map.
That map was horrendous.
Honestly.
Oh wow.
I have bad memory. That killed Black Ops 2.
Oh no.
I think the Avengers should have been more open world ish.
Oh yeah.
You know, at least give us ability to travel by foot from New York to California or something, and in between you have these adventures. Kind of like what they did with the Crew 2. Not like you're driving, but the open world where you're moving between stuff and you're fighting the enemy as you move forward, right? And there's certain areas that are leveled. They give you a map, and you transport to the area in the map. You don't go by foot. And I think to me that's what kind of killed it was. I had to go to the map to go to the next place, and it's like a stage, and then go back. It just.
They should have had a free roam mode, pretty much.
But Destiny's like that. Well, Destiny's open world in the planet, but you have to go into
the
space, and then you do this, you do that, and then you go. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and it would have made more sense because I mean, with the Avengers, you literally have Avengers who can fly, and like the Hulk who could like do these crazy jumps. Like, there's some people who probably all they want to do is just chill around, like, and just free roam for a while, and that would be perfect, right?
Yeah, just be a superhero for a bit.
Yeah. Very, very big missed opportunity. I mean, especially like when you see older games like the DC Universe Online, where you could just free roam and not really do any objectives if you really wanted to. And I don't know. They just really dropped the ball.
I think it's that transition to live services. Everything needs to be a live service now. I think if they'd made it into an actual single player open world game, I think it would have been great. But because they wanted to go through that live service route,
I think that you're not totally wrong. I think live service then tends to mess up games, but I think it's because they get so focused on seeing what they can monetize that it detracts from a lot of the other things that they could do. Because I mean, I think they can still make a good live service game, but they just get caught up in the wrong parts of it, right? Instead of like being caught up in the part like how can I make this interesting and fun to keep people playing, they're worried about like, oh, how can we monetize this? So they'll want to spend. How can I make the game harder and more grindy so they'll spend money to make it easier for them to level and progress.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's not a player first mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Sad.
that's what happened with with Stadia. Stadia,
Mm.
they weren't thinking about creativity. They were thinking about how the games should be pushing Stadia as a console.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Xbox One suffered from as well, where
In the beginning.
yeah, in the beginning, with the Connect and pushing features instead of pushing the games that are going to be playable on them with creativity.
True.
So, but Dio,
Yes, sir.
you got some information for us. Switch.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so there's-
He's like,
Yeah, I heard Dio was in the Digital Cypha office the other day. I heard him in the archive room, digging through the papers, making calls. He was having a secret phone call at one point. He didn't let anyone in the room. He has information for us, and he
Yeah.
has
I mean, there's been rumors for the Nintendo Switch Pro. I mean, we all know Nintendo does this, right? Like they'll come up with the new Game Boy, and then like 2 years down the line, they make it better. Like how you had your Game Boy Advance, your Nintendo SP, and all that stuff. But
Mhm.
you had the Nintendo Switch Pro that's supposed to come out. They're supposed to start production in June, and we'll hopefully get them for holiday release. The specs that they're claiming will be like a 7-inch screen, so decent size, nice. 720p when it's in portable mode, but supposedly 4K when it's in dock mode.
that doesn't
But-
make sense.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. That does seem a bit.
But I mean, at that point, you're pretty much just buying like from what it looks like, it's like an Xbox One X or a PS4 Pro, right? So they're still going to be behind, like they
Yeah.
typically are.
Mhm.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, obviously the Switch is doing very well, so they can get away with it. But it's just kind of a shame that it's going to be just at that point, especially when you have players who have had the Switch this whole time, or who have been loyal to Nintendo, and they're getting that itch to scratch because they see how strong the PS5 and how strong the Series X are, and it's you're still a whole generation behind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
That's an
kind of
interesting
sucks.
perspective I never really thought about. Yeah. This is. Yeah, it's imagine, at least for me, hearing a 720p, that stings, man.
Yeah.
Considering everyone's basically native 4K at this point with these next gen consoles,
Yeah.
being
I mean, don't get me wrong,
720p sub HD, it's a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it is portable, so you have to give it some leeway. But at the same time, I think with the money that Nintendo has made, I think they could have pushed it to 1080. I think they could
For
have
sure.
that.
This is yeah.
What I'm trying to figure out is, why is Nintendo treating the Switch like a mobile device? Like a phone. They have the technology and the money to make it get up there. I mean, I can understand if you have a phone and you have the Game Pass and your phone can only run 720 or 1080. But the whole experience on the console itself that you take with you day in, day out, you play it during lunch, you keep your wife or your significant other up when you're in the bed trying to finish up a game. You know what I'm saying? And it's not 1080. I don't understand it. I mean, I see what they're doing with the docking station, but
Yeah.
even with the docking station, are we looking at them risking a situation where people are going to complain that it's scratching up the Pro now? You know what I'm saying? Because they're going back and forth between 4K and 720. I mean,
That's gonna be jarring as well, going back between the two.
Well, I would imagine
Mhm.
that they're gonna have a better docking station, because I know I have that old docking station that they had. I got a completely different one for my Switch because of that whole scratching nonsense.
Mhm.
That's way better. It doesn't touch the screen at all. I guess I was just kind of expecting maybe like in portable mode being on the power of like a Xbox One X, and then in dock like the power of a Xbox Series S. That's what I was kind of expecting.
Then this, I then have to ask, like, what about the games then? Because
Well, games have never been a problem.
No, I'm not
Nintendo,
saying
right?
I'm not saying the development and the production of games.
Okay.
I'm just wondering about the games, because if they're pushing 720 and 4K,
Uh-huh.
right? Nothing in between. 1080p, you
Yeah.
know, 1440p, you know, just
Well-
720 and 4K.
It's just like the game's now on the Switch. I mean, even though it's saying 4K when it's docked, obviously there's gonna be some games that don't get up to that point, right? They're gonna
Yeah.
be somewhere in between. So it's gonna be depending on how optimized they are.
Aiming for 4K, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a better way to say it.
But okay, so what I really wanted to say is, and I'm not trying to say anything about Nintendo and their practices or anything. This is not. It's just me in question because I'm confused. Is it safe for me to say that Nintendo and the development of games can only afford to push games at a certain resolution, and that's why they haven't put the Switch to be completely, you know, next gen?
Well, I think it would be really hard for them to go completely next gen with a very small device. I think.
But why? They're Nintendo.
Well, I mean, they haven't tried to stay next gen since like the GameCube. You know what I mean? Like, they've taken themselves out of that horse race, Ebonics. Like, dude,
Okay.
like they don't want any. And in ways that's kind of smart, right? Because I mean, look at the fanboys. It's always it's always Sony and Microsoft people fighting each other
Yeah.
and complaining.
Okay,
Well,
I
Nintendo-
see.
Nintendo
Yeah, I
has
see.
been
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because most people, like those fanboys, right? They'll have their Microsoft system or they'll have their Sony system, but they'll also have a Nintendo, right?
Right.
That I think there's more of that going on than the other way around. Like I think most people will have one of the two bigger ones and then the Nintendo, as opposed to having all three, or you know, the Sony and the Microsoft and not having Nintendo one, right? Because
So you're saying that it's possible by becoming next gen, right? That they would be, how can I
getting
put it?
indirect fire.
Right, and then they kind of
Yeah.
separating themselves from being the all-inclusive, or
Yeah.
like the universal console, to being a console of its own community. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's that, and also just because I don't think they could make a handheld that would be as strong as next gen. You know?
Well, they could be. I mean, if they were thinking about it hard enough, then they wouldn't make a handheld. Because look at Sony. Sony kicked the Vita to the side and said that they're.
Well, that's
they're
because it
going-
wasn't successful.
It wasn't
Not because they
successful.
wanted to,
I mean,
and it wasn't successful because of Nintendo.
Yeah, DS and gosh, DS.
I'm
So-
sure.
I
there's-
mean,
I'm sure people.
Because the Vita was,
Mhm.
because the Vita was way stronger than the DS, but the DS still outsold it.
Because the PSP and the Vita were more expensive.
Well, it's not even just that. It was just when you look at just how accessible the Nintendo games are comparatively.
Mhm.
I mean, the price is definitely a factor, but I think it's just that Nintendo just has that brand recognition ever since the Game Boy. You know, like when you think of handheld, I mean, even the Game Gear failed, right? And the Neo Geo Pocket,
Mhm.
it's just Nintendo Game Boy has just been it. No one has
Yeah.
ever been able to beat them in that. in
Even
that
I had a
market.
Game Boy back in the day.
Yeah, I've had every Game Boy since then. You know.
Yeah.
Don,
That's-
what you know about
that's a
Game Boy? What you know
Yeah,
about
Game Boy Advance, bro. I was in the system. But for sure, I mean, that's the perspective, man. Like you look at it as it's true that Nintendo have always been, I guess, the handheld gaming console. You know,
Yeah.
it's always been them. They don't really need to go into the mainstream market. There's no one really competing with Nintendo over mobile.
This is why you see Dom playing too much Tetris.
Maybe. Well, so that's why you play Tetris. Don't let me get into that conversation.
Man, I'm trying to make sure my old self can hang with the new guys. You know what I'm saying? Because at one point, Tetris came out, and there was a whole slew of people be like, "Man, this is garbage." I was like, "Y'all don't know nothing about no
What?
Tetris." It's like y'all don't know nothing about no Tetris. What you talking about?
Mm,
And now
Like,
it's kind of now it's kind of like, okay, people jumping in, competitions happening, the tournaments coming in, and now Tetris is like it. Like there's more
Like,
news. There's a lot of news about the Tetris factor in other games now coming out,
okay.
or like adaptations and stuff like that. I tell you one thing. The one thing about Tetris that really keeps me playing is that music. When they start
Yes.
Oh,
you,
yeah.
when they start you off and you start dropping those bricks and it
Yes.
has like a sound. He's like it sounds like you're making your own music until the music comes in, and then the music is still timed with your drops. It's like,
yeah.
So good. Good.
It's massively done, honestly.
it's nice. It's nice. So other than that, well, you got anything else, Dio?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about a little bit about From Software earlier. I don't know if we really touched this, but Elden Ring had like a gameplay trailer. I don't know if either one of you guys saw it.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean,
I saw a little bit of it.
I'm gonna have to.
For a sneak peek at this.
How long was it?
15 seconds.
Oh my god.
Oh,
7
oh
seconds,
my gosh.
15 seconds.
Oh, I'm over here like, I gotta download that. I gotta.
No,
No,
I wouldn't really waste your time. It's like 15 seconds. It's really blurry. I'm not gonna lie. I would even probably argue that it looked pretty fake. I kind of think that
Oh
they
yeah.
took
Oh yeah.
Bro.
other games and like we're playing them and trying to like mix them together to make it look like something different.
Bro.
Imagine you're playing Skyrim on a CRT TV.
Yes, yeah, pretty
That's what
much.
it looked like.
I was arguing with somebody about a video. Now that I remember, and I was like, man, this is Dark Souls. I mean, no, sorry, I didn't say that. I said, because the guy was on a horse and he was swinging to the right, and I was like, that reminds me
Yes.
of Assassin's Creed. And he's like, no man, it's Dark
Actually,
Souls.
that's what it
Yeah,
looked like.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
that's Dark Souls. I was like, bro, I've never.
that's Dark Souls.
I mean, like he's saying he was saying that you don't, because he was identifying certain pieces in the video and saying, oh, only Dark Souls will have these things in it. I was like,
Yeah.
the guy is on a horse and he's swinging with a sword, and the way it
you're 100%
looks, it looks like Assassin's Creed to me.
It did. It looked like Assassin's Creed. I mean, you could even argue The Witcher, but it looked more like Assassin's Creed to me,
Uh,
for sure.
this is my first encounter with fighting with a fanboy.
Oh, I've had so many. I mean, man, I've had those since I was a kid. Like back in the schoolyard, like
His
bringing
schoolyard.
us with Nintendo.
No.
I don't know if you guys remember that slogan.
No
You're
man,
taking up the lunch money.
I'm sorry, dude.
What you say about Nintendo?
I'm sorry. The last time I was a fanboy of anything, we was playing Kung Fu during lunchtime, and it was
You were playing. Wait, hold on. You were playing Kung Fu.
what, bruh?
Yeah, Power
What
Rangers.
you mean
versus
you were
Beast
playing
Wars.
Kung
What?
What do you mean?
Somebody-
Cyber Samurai.
Somebody had to be the Green Ranger who was evil. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, dude. Back then, that was your highlight, man. I mean, Dragon Ball and Power Rangers and Voltron and Thundercats, and there was another one.
Oh, there's so many.
There was so
Dude,
many.
you could like watch like an old school thing and you'd be like, wow, I forgot all about that. I did that the other day. I saw so many cartoons I totally forgot about, but they all came back rushing in my memory. Like, wow, I remember I used to love that cartoon.
Bro.
Like,
Mhm.
no, what did you say?
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like Beetleborgs and like
Beetleborgs.
I don't know if you remember that one. It was pretty much Power Rangers, but they had like beetle suits. It was stupid.
The one that I
They have
remember
big
up
suits.
until this day was Superhuman Samurai. The forgotten.
Squad.
The Cyber Squad? What?
Yeah, the Superhuman Samurai, like when they're like inside the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cyber Squad. Yep.
Mhm. I mean, nobody knows about that except for the
Oh,
select
I
few.
used to love that. I used to love that.
Man, that show died so quick.
It did that quick. I was super into it. It was so cool to me when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh.
I still had the toys.
Yo, when you start streaming, you need to have all that stuff on the wall. All
For real,
that-
man. Dude,
all
I
that
have
stuff.
my kids play with my old toys. They have a ball that they ask me all about. I'm like, oh, I forgot all about that.
You need to have them in glass cases, man. It's like, oh, daddy,
I
what's
should.
this? Oh, that was the time when I was, 5 years old and but yeah, man.
Like an ancient relic.
It has inscriptions
Welcome
on the
to my
side.
museum.
I know, Don. Let's be real now. Let's be real, Don. You have a Master Chief full body suit in a.
How did you know about that?
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? There's a
To be fair, in my art class in school, I did make a Master Chief helmet.
there's a.
Oh, that's cool.
There's
With
a
I don't,
basement.
I don't remember what happened to that. I don't know where it is.
But I
Probably in
can,
a bin
I
somewhere.
can see you, Don, having a basement with all Halo memorabilia. I can see
Maybe. Maybe.
that. Don't say maybe.
Maybe.
I can see
Maybe.
that.
Maybe.
He walks through the
I
door.
cannot confirm or deny.
That's his theme song for his mobile device. He wakes up with the Halo theme. Okay. All right, guys. This is it. This is the Digital Cypha. Having some fun here, but we talked a lot about what's going on the day before, the division that should have been, I guess. We talk about Bethesda's purchase and what that meant for us. Outriders and the changes that they're making, and some other things too. But we look forward to hearing from you guys. You guys, you are a community, and we definitely want to hear from you guys. You guys got questions and stuff, just hit us up. So we're here every Saturday, 10 a.m. All right. This is Ebonics, Dio, Don CJG, and we're signing out.
See you later.
Peace.